Hey everybody, good Tuesday morning. Eddie William Sellers sitting here. It's kind of gray and not quite misty yet, but rain's coming here in Atlanta. Good morning, everybody. Top of the morning to you. It's the odd, weird energy vibe week of Thanksgiving. At least it is to me. I just find it kind of feels odd this time of year to me. I don't know. I tried to look back on my childhood. Maybe we wasn't big Thanksgiving kind of people when I was raised up. I don't really remember having big thanks. It's kind of weird that all of my whole family lived in Cabbagetown during my childhood. I don't ever remember them all. Well, the houses wasn't big enough to get everybody together in. So I don't really recall memories of Thanksgiving that much. And when I lived with my Aunt Mary and Uncle AC, well, they didn't celebrate any of that. Thanksgiving, they thought Christmas was a pagan holiday. They didn't celebrate Christmas. And so I don't know, it just seems kind of weird and odd to me this time of year. Anyhow, segue over into a post this morning that absolutely has nothing to do with Thanksgiving and about divorce. So, and I seen where Candy and Todd of the Real Housewives of Atlanta were filed for divorce. And so anyhow, this is when a writer has nothing else to write about, but he piddles into putting words down. Cold weather is coming back for Thanksgiving, the post begins. Very few people stay together until death do they part. People get married for all kind of reasons. Ava and I have been married for 2 months now. More and more people are opting out of getting legally married. Many, for financial reasons, some checks can get cut out because of marrying each other. We had a lady and her husband went to Woodland Hills Baptist Church for years, and we just assumed they was married because she was on all kind of boards on the church, and she was a rock in the church, and they'd been together for 30, 40 years. And anyhow, after she died, they called me up to notarize some papers after her death, and come to find out, the two of them had never been married. Well, the church was just aghast. How could she pretend she was married for all these years when they were never even married? I thought it was the silliest stuff. I'm like, who cares? Who cares? But anyhow, church folks, scratch your head like they're weird. Anyhow, it was a long tangent, wasn't it? Candy and Todd of the Real Housewives are getting divorced after 11 years. 11 years seems like such a short time to me now. I mean, I felt like I stayed 11 years in a Walmart the other day. I hope Boom Boom doesn't ever get married. I think hiding down inside of Boom Boom somewhere is a wife beater. We have nicknamed him Mr. from The Color Purple, the way he bosses or tries to boss Gracie around. My mama got divorced 2 times. Also, my aunts, Annie Ruth, Carol, Corrine, Lottie, and Betty all got divorced at some point. And people wonder about the sanctity of gay marriage. Have y'all looked at straight people and the way they treat marriage? My Aunt Mary never divorced, but she died when she was in her 40s. Granny Bratcher never got divorced, but she told me after Granddaddy died that she never loved him and that he was not good to her. Her words were, "He was mean to me, Eddie." She said, "I was glad the day that man finally died." That kind of shocked me to hear Granny say that. Me and her sitting out in a swing in her yard one afternoon. And when she told me that, I'm like, Lord, a grandson don't need to hear that. I loved my granddaddy. Granny didn't care for him. Granddaddy was ornery and hateful, meaning he cheated on her all the time with a lot of other women. I thought that was just normal back then. I thought everybody cheated on everybody. Granny Bratcher never divorced him, though. Betty, my Aunt Betty, was married 5 times. She was the Elizabeth Taylor of the family. At 57, my mama married a much younger man. It was kind of embarrassing, y'all, especially back then. Mama was 57 years old. I guess I followed in her footsteps. Then after she divorced him, she was with Thurman, a much older man, big old man. They were church-going buddies for those years that she dated Thurman. He was widowed. Thurman had to be in his mid-80s, while Mama was in her maybe mid to early 60s. I told her one time that it was good that she found a companion that she could go to dinner with all the time and go to church with, and Thurman had this big old fancy car they'd ride around in. And besides, I said, you don't have to worry about having sex with a man that old. He is too old for all of that. She said, not Thurman. He wants sex all the time, she said. And he's hung like a donkey. And he still gets hard. I said, Mama, there ain't no way that old man can do all that. She said, and he likes to park up here at Fairview Cemetery and do things. In the words of Leanne Morgan on her latest tour, unspeakable things. I don't know how I felt about old Mr. Thurman after hearing that and him sitting on the front pew amening me as I preached. But Mama seemed happy with him. Talking about sex was never a taboo subject in our house, like it was among a lot of church people, Pentecostal people. I think it served me well when I was a sex counselor for 2 years at Ada Atlanta. You just talk about it. You'd say sex or penis or vagina, 2 or 3, or just jump up in a Pentecostal church and say, sex! Everybody in there just, you cut up a hush and fall down on the floor and have a heart attack. It's just like they're terrified of sex. Yet they preach on it all the time. Gay people, adultery, gay people just preach on sex all the time. Why is there so much cheating in the Pentecostal churches? You don't really hear about that in the Methodist and the Presbyterian and the Lutheran and the Episcopalian. Man, them Pentecostal people can't keep their drawers on, can they? Always has been like that. I wonder if they create their sex demons. Anyhow, y'all, let me go on. Relationships are odd, strange things. Everyone who watched in the early days of Candy and Todd getting together, nobody thought it would last. She with her millions and Todd, a production producer, something other on the crew that was filming The Real Housewives. Many thought he was just a gold digger. I never did. I ain't watched Real Housewives in years. That's just not my cup of tea. I'd rather watch them home shows on HGTV. Mama Joyce, Candy's mom, never liked him from the beginning. She would say, he has no money. Of course he wants you. Then there is Dolly and Carl. All of those years, they seem to be made for each other. It is embarrassing to go through a divorce. At least it was for me at 39. Kathy and I had been married for 20 years, and I never looked at it as a failed marriage. I looked at it as us having a successful marriage. We brought 2 kids into the world and built a life together. Even if Ava and I ended today, which I think we will be together until one of us dies. And that one is more likely me. We jest this morning. A few days ago, Ava was driving, heading out of town, and she called me all crying and upset. A car had come over the median and just missed her, hitting her head on by just an eyelash. And it really upset Ava. She pulled over off the side of the road. She wasn't hurt. The car wasn't hurt. But she was upset. And I told her when she got back to town, I said, that would have been some bullshit. The age difference between us and then you go before me. I said, that would just been some bullshit. Yeah. So anyhow, even if Ava and I ended today, which I think we'll be together until one of us dies. My time's running out, y'all. I'd run another thing. Yada, 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 yada. Good Tuesday morning, everybody. Happy week of Thanksgiving. Rain's moving in today. What have we got? 15 more seconds. I love you. You're so sweet. Thank you for listening to this post. It's Tuesday morning and I'm at Constance's house. Yeah, yeah, yeah.